Good evening, everyone. Good evening, President, Dean Shapiro, faculty, family, friends, and the wildly over-caffeinated, theory-saturated, burnout-resistant Master of Social Service class of 2025. Let me start with a confession. I thought completing this degree would feel like galloping into the sunset on a well-trained horse. Picture it, a cinematic moment, perfect lighting, triumphant music, swelling as we rode into the future. But instead, it felt more like getting on a half-broke mare named Systems Theory, who promptly threw me into the mud multiple times. There were days when I thought I had it all figured out. Maslow, Erikson, attachment theory. I was ready to practice. And then life said, cool, and threw in a surprise medical diagnosis. Suddenly, I wasn't just studying trauma, I was living it. I wasn't just reading about systemic barriers, I was up against them. I wasn't just talking about dignity and worth, I had to fight for my own. But still, I showed up, sometimes in pain, often exhausted, always determined. I kept riding. Because social work doesn't require flawless riders, it requires committed ones. It asks us not to perform certainty, but to practice courage, to be willing to fall and to get back up with intention. This field demands more than intellectual rigor, it demands emotional stamina. That we name the power dynamics in the room, even when we're the quietest voices in it. To see non-compliance not as defiance, but as wisdom born from surviving unjust systems. We've studied the architecture of failure, how racism, ableism, transphobia, and fatphobia are built into policy and practice, and how to intervene at the points where people get lost in those tracks. We've practiced person and environment, biopsychosocial assessments, and the subtle art of writing notes that say, client explored feelings instead of client screamed into a pillow while I nodded supportively. And through it all, we held on to something bigger than theory, values. We believed in the inherent dignity and worth of every person, even when they couldn't see it themselves. We honored the centrality of human relationships, not only as a treatment tool, but as the very foundation of change. We pursued social justice, not as a checkbox, but as a call to dismantle what harms and imagine what could be and what could heal. And we practiced the radical, unyielding idea that healing is still possible, even within institutions built to exclude, punish, or forget. We pursued social justice not as a buzzword too, but as a responsibility. I've fallen off the horse more times than I can count, academically, physically, existentially, but every single time someone from the program reached out a hand, gave me a leg up, or reminded me, you've got this, you belong here. And now I want to say that to all of you. You belong here. Not because you made it through without bruises or a fall or two from the horse a few times, but because you kept riding when it counted most. To my fellow graduates, may we never forget our power in simply being there for someone. We should value connection over control, presence over perfection, and people over process. Thank you to the Graduate School of Social Work and Social Research of Bryn Mawr College. You have shown me compassion and understanding that I will carry with me always. Thank you to my mom and dad for supporting my dreams and aspirations, and your dedication to my education has made all the difference. So as we ride out into a world that desperately needs us, into broken systems, burnout questions, and unmet needs, let me leave you with this. When you get thrown, because you will, don't ask yourself, why did I fall? Ask yourself, who am I going to be now that I've gotten back up? Because that evolution, that tenacity, that return to purpose is the essence of social work. And if all else fails, ride boldly into supervision. Thank you, and congratulations to the class of 2025.